Hello, hello, hello. We are live. We are doing another case study today, and I am super excited about this one because I have one of my boss clients here with me, Lisa. As you come in, please say hello, say hi, let us know that you're on here with us. Again, I'm super excited about this conversation today, and I'm going to put Lisa on here so you all see who I am talking about. Super excited about her because I love the work that I do. And I love when my clients begin to look at themselves and say, wait a minute, who is that? Oh, that's me. It's just so beautiful to watch the unfolding. It is such a blessing for me. And Lisa has had many of those moments. I have witnessed them, and we're going to go into a little of that later. They begin to look at themselves differently, loving the life they're living, loving themselves deeper, expanding, and beginning to do things that scare them, things that they have hidden from for years. They begin seeing possibilities in their lives. And oh my goodness, that is super juicy. Because why are we living if we're not able to do the things that we so desire? So, one of the reasons why I like to bring my clients on here to share their story really is to let you know what's happening and what is possible for you. I like to bring the real people out here, people they have jobs just like you. They're running businesses just like you. They have desires to start a business, to expand themselves. They're moms, they're aunties, they're going through the same struggles, the same doubts, anxieties, fears, worries, just like you. So you can hear their story. I want them to be an inspiration for you. Listen, I can tell you all day what I do. I can tell you how I moved from fear to freedom or how I am fearless and all that. But it lands differently when you hear it from my clients' mouths. I've heard people say, oh, yeah, but see, of course, it's easy for you to say you're fearless. You're the one that's fearless. No, believe it or not, I don't have two heads. Nothing like that at all. There's nothing super special about me. Nothing that I have that you do not have. So it's one thing if and when I make a goal and achieve it. And it's different when my clients are creating the results that they want in their own life. So it shows what's possible for you. So before we dive in, I'm going to take a moment to introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, I am Bissy McGregor. I am the founder of Fear to Freedom and the creator of the Live More Fearless method. I help high achievers, leaders like yourself, go after what you want without fear ever getting in the way again. I run my signature program, Fear to Freedom Accelerator, 4 times a year, and we're starting the last round this month. In fact, we're starting next week. So I'll be extending an invitation to you if you're ready to have more than you've settled for in your life. If you're ready to kickstart 2021, a winner, I'll be extending an invitation to you. So here's what I know. Many people are held back by one fear or another. Some know it, some don't. Other people say, oh no, something's holding me back, but it's not fear. Okay. Listen, the people that come to me, as you would hear from Lisa, are brilliant. They are brilliant. Okay. They have multiple degrees. They are expats in different countries. They are gallivanting around the desert. And maybe you'll tell us a little bit about that experience, Lisa. They're high achievers. They are successful in their own right. They know they have more to give. They know they're called for more. But something holds them back. Something holds them back. So what's beautiful about my work is that we get to suss through all of that. We get to break those beliefs that have stopped them, that has held them captive. Not only are you able to identify what's holding you back, you also know what to do about it when it comes up. So it never stops you again. So I take my clients through this 3 pillars of awareness, awaken, and activate. So let's just get into it. Okay, let's just get into it. So first off, I'm going to ask you, Lisa, to Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you are up to in the world, what you're all about.
That is a good and big question. And thanks for the introduction. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here with all of you. And so who am I? So I'm Lisa Laoye. I am, a former journalist, currently working in corporate communications in the nonprofit space in early education. Very fulfilling. I'm a podcast host. As Bissy alluded to earlier, I've lived as an expat. I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Asia, I've lived in Europe, and I currently live in the US in Philadelphia. I love traveling, so that much is obvious. But not only do I love traveling, I love living in different places because it gives you an experience that travel just can't give you. And travel is amazing. One of the best teachers, I think the only thing that tops that in my book is actually living in other places and getting to immerse yourself in a different culture. I have traveled the desert. One of my favorite trips was a road trip, yes, in a car from Lagos, Nigeria to London in the United Kingdom. It was an expedition where we were telling people about desertification and the fact that the Sahara Desert was growing at an alarming rate and hadn't been checked, which was causing a lot of problems on the African continent, including illegal migration, famine, and a host of other things, which is a bigger concept now than it was when we made that trip 10 years ago. Former journalist, worked in news for a number of years. So I've definitely done a lot of different things. I love people, essentially. I don't know if I mentioned I'm a podcast host right now, and I have a podcast where we talk to female entrepreneurs, basically women who have decided to take their life in their hands, if you will, and not just continue status quo, but to really take a new path and do what they really love. So I do that. I learn from those women and get to share the stories of those women with the world.
I love, love, love it. Isn't she boss? I mean, guys, isn't she boss? Like total boss. My clients inspire me. I love working with them. So thank you for that. So listen, this is going to be an open conversation. Okay. And for those of you that are watching us, let us know you're here. This is an open conversation for you. So if something comes up for you, if something resonates with you, if you have a question, a comment, something, just put it in a chat. We'll love to see it. We want you to be a part of this conversation. So you've heard me talk about incredible results that my clients are getting, right? Yes. What I want to talk about today, let's start here, is so in all transparency and openness, we've known each other for decades, actually. At this point, we can say decades. Crazy, right? We've known each other for decades, and I won't say how many decades because
you don't have to follow the math,
Exactly. So, and we've attended, like in the past, similar self-development workshops or seminars. Mm-hmm. So, which means my clients are no stranger to deep and inner work at all. We know it's what takes us to the next level. But I want to talk to you. I want you to talk to us about the moment you decided to work with me, because I know I probably extended an invitation to you. And it just took, and we talked about it here and there, but what was going on in your world? What was going on in your head that made you say, I think this is the time?
That is a great question. I think, and it's always hard with these things to pinpoint kind of the exact moment. As you mentioned, I've known you for a while. You even had a kind of a group chat of girl bosses that you were honestly just inspiring out of the goodness of your heart for free for a while, and just encouraging us, teaching us some of the principles that I learned through the Fearless Living and through your program. So I think that I've been around personal development work, to your point, and we've taken some similar courses, and I've also been around your transformation, just witnessing you just turn your life around. And I mean, you were always amazing, but seeing you take it to the next level and really living into your calling was amazing to see. So I think for me, it had been something I've always wanted to do and thought, okay, sometime, someday. I think there was something even about the pandemic this year that got me off of the someday. I'm like, you know what? Someday is literally this minute. Like, you don't have, what is someday? Like, what does that even mean? What is time? Who is promised tomorrow? And we know that and we say that, but there was something I think about 2020 that just made me feel like, look, if there's ever a time you need to take yourself on, it is at this time in this moment. And so what are you waiting for? Just go for it.
Wow. Wow. That is so powerful. It gives me goosebumps because I'm always talking about the time is now. Like there is no time. And you're so right. 2020 has been, I call it the wake up year. If you have not been awoken in some way, shape, or form, I don't know what kind of sleep you're sleeping.
Yeah, don't know what's going to take.
I do not know. You know, just earlier today, I actually posted because I see people are waiting for the next year to roll by. People are waiting for 2021 because they're saying, you know, 2020 was a disaster. It was done. It's a write-off. You know, I'm ready for 2021. But here's the thing, just like you said, if you're not up leveling who you are right now, 2021 is going to be the same thing as it is right this minute.
Yep.
The exact same thing. So yeah, so I love that you said, yeah, you made someday. Well, someday is this minute. You know, I see a lot of people make the mistake of waiting. But tell us, what is it? What would you say it was that made you kept saying someday? Maybe it's someday. What was that?
Um, that's a good question. I think I can have, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, I can have that whole concern around money. Like, oh, these things are great. I'm always doing something. So it's a couple of different things. So on one hand, I've done a lot of professional development and personal development work. And it's all been amazing and they've all made a difference. But sometimes I can feel like, you know what, maybe it's time to just stop. Just open your old notes and figure out how you can coach yourself and, you know, figure this out on your own. So I think sometimes when I think about that, I think someday I'll sign up for something else. But for now, let's just remember the things we've learned. So that was one thing. I think another thing could also be the money thing. Like, oh, because I'm definitely the kind of person that when I pay for something, I pay attention in a different way than when I don't. I'm sure that's true for many people, but it definitely gets my attention. So it's I've got to pay for this. Do I really have the energy to am I going to take it on? And again, it's not really about the money as much as am I willing to take myself on? Because I know I will have to if I put myself into a program. So I think those were some of the things that made me think someday. Or sometimes too, I can think I need to figure it out to a certain degree. Like, okay, I want to figure it out to this point so that the coach can take me from point C to point F versus having to take me from point A. So don't know if anybody can relate to that, but those are some of the thoughts I had to justify waiting for someday.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I am certain that people are going to resonate with that because I hear it all the time. I hear yeah, I just need to get some stuff together. I just need to get some stuff together first, you know. Like I was talking, and I know we've talked about this before. I'm doing this 75 hard challenge, and
Yes.
today is day 67 for day 67 for me. Yeah, I have 9 days left, bottom line. And
That's amazing. Even if it was day 5, I would be like, oh, you 75 hard.
and I know that there are a lot of people in my inbox saying, "Oh my God, you're inspiring me to start 75 hard. You're really
Awesome.
inspiring me. I'm going to start this. I'm going to start this." But I got to put some things in place first. I got to put some things in place first. So I
Yeah.
see that a lot where people are waiting to have their ducks in a row before they make the move. I
Right.
also want to touch on the point that you said about money. When you invest, you pay attention in a different way.
Oh, yes.
You pay attention in a different way. You know, your heart is where your investment is, really.
Yep.
Yeah. And what you also talked about, it's not about the money. You ask yourself, like, can I truly take this on? So when I tell people, like, this isn't about money, because if you want a thing, you'll figure out how to get the money.
Yep.
Yeah. But the
Yes.
question is, can you trust yourself to follow through?
Right. And I think one of the things I've learned, and I keep relearning it sometimes, is the whole whatever stops you one place is what stops you everywhere. So even if it's money, don't you want to have a breakthrough in that so that money stops stopping you from the rest of your dreams and the rest of your life? And so I think whatever it is we claim is the thing is actually worth taking that on because it's stopping us in more areas than we realize.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Yes. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're
Right.
yeah, you're being all in fearlessness over here, and you're doing, no, the way you approach everything, one thing is how you approach everything. Yeah. So you invested in the accelerator. So Lisa was in the July round, which we just completed last week, round of the accelerator. So tell me, or tell us, what's different about the accelerator, especially someone who's been in a lot of different programs and who's exposed to other personal development programs. What's different about the Fear to Freedom accelerator?
So I think a number of different things are different about it. What I like about it is the kind of intimate group that you have. You put together these things called trust pods, and they're basically your community within this journey. And you get to know, in our case, we're all women, all these women's stories, and you get to be invested in people's success. So there's something about having that, not in a seminar of 100 or 200, but just having, a small group of people, like let's say 8 of you, knowing each other's challenges and victories, even on a weekly basis, and sharing each other on. So I think that was very different. I think there's a lot of accountability in a different way than I'm used to. So we had we had homework every week. We had things to do, and not only did you do your homework, you then had to apply that personally. So it wasn't enough to just get the head knowledge of it. There was homework where you had to check in with yourself, make sure you were really getting it, and apply it in some way. So I think there was that whole application piece was really great. I think too, we had to hold ourselves to task. Like we were the ones who decided what we were going to do from week to week. You weren't the one lording it over us, like, you've got to do this. It's like, what is it that you're committing to? So we got to make commitments and honor our word, or fess up to the fact that we didn't make our commitments. So I think the intimate setting of the group made a big difference, and being able to just kind of be on the journey with a group of people, wrestling through things, succeeding, falling as a unit, I think made a big difference for me.
I love that. And I would love to just even dive deeper into community, because I know what community does for me. I mean, I'm in a couple of communities with my coach and in my mastermind, and I know I gotta have that community. Like you said, you're invested in other people's successes, you're cheering one another along, and it is a sense of accountability.
Yeah.
Super important in your growth, in your acceleration to the next level. And you talk.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say a couple of things I didn't mention too. I think just the tools. I feel like that was very different than anything I'm used to, in the sense that, yes, there's a book you use and there are tools that are there, but you also provided us tools based on the things we talked about or that we needed. So I think that made a big difference. I also feel like you're somebody who takes yourself on. I think sometimes we can have coaches who are like, I figured this out, I'm just coaching you. But you have a way of being in it with us that I think made a big difference too. Like, as you said earlier, you don't have 2 heads or, tails, but I think there's something about if I could do this, if I came from here, if I'm still on this journey, surely you can do it too. So I think those are all things that made a difference for me.
Absolutely. I love that. And you're so right. I plug myself in a community. I plug myself in coaching so I can be better for my clients. Yes, I'm leading alongside. Some days I'm leading ahead of them. But yes, I'm also in the work, because we're all a work in progress, and let's talk about those tools for a second, because you talked about the tools. You're able to do the work, not just get head knowledge, but also apply, which really is the core of my 3 pillars. Like, have the head knowledge with the first pillar, just awakening, just having this awareness and this awakening. And then what my desire for my clients is to move from head to heart and embody this new way of being, this new way of thinking, this new way of seeing the world. And that's the application that you are talking about. So what's been the outcome? I know people are like, okay, so there are tools, so there's community. What's been the outcome? Or maybe let's do it this way. Where were you in your life, or where were you struggling with, and what's been the outcome?
So I think there have been a lot of different things, and it can be hard to kind of explain all of the things. I probably should have had a cheat sheet here with me, but what's been the outcome? I think a lot of different things, just in general, just more peace of mind, more calm, more confidence. I think that's been just kind of a baseline upgrade in general. I think that so much has shifted from belief. So again, that's the other part of this program that works, is that it works on a lot of different levels. And one of the things I know that you talked to me about a lot was my beliefs. And I think so often, as again, someone who's into personal development, there's always a big push on action, and action is amazing and we need to stay in action. But if you're taking actions with a twisted or some kind of misaligned belief, your actions are not going to result in what you think they will result in. So that was one of the big breakthroughs for me, was just realizing okay, yeah, you can take the action, but what is the belief that's even at the bottom of this? And if you're doing it from a place of anxiety or fear or desperation, or I'm really not worthy, but let me just keep hustling, that's going to come through in the actions I choose to take. So I think one of the big things, which can sound hokey to someone hasn't done this work, is really checking in with myself, like checking in with what's going on with me. Where is this coming from? What is this desire? What's going on? That is huge for me, because I could definitely be that person who does the right thing, but practicing and getting better at connecting heart to head, that's to body. That's new. So that's something that has shifted for me. Just in terms of just practical, I have been working on decluttering my space and decorating my home for like a year. Don't judge me, people. We're all a work in progress, as right. But in our program, we never even talked about my house. But because of all the work we were doing, my belief shifted. My self-love shifted, where I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I want to live in a space that is amazing for me. Whether anybody's coming over or not, because it's COVID, ain't nobody coming over. I just need to make sure that my space is actually a space that rejuvenates me. In 3 weeks,
I'm going to interrupt you there, because this needs some expansion, because this is super important what you're talking about. You are wanting this level of living. You're wanting this desire to live whatever it is, this haven, this luxurious space.
Right.
You got to up level everything around you.
Right.
Not only your inner self, but even your physical space. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So keep going. So you did better.
Right. So yes, I think something so basically I had been having a lot of conversations, again, all within our pod, about self-love and about me having the love for myself that I either have for other people or that I'm hoping to create with the romantic partner. It's like, do you have that love for yourself? And so I think the more I thought about it, and the more that belief shifted of like, I'm worth it. I'm enough. I'm worthy of the love I give so freely to other people. All of a sudden my standards shifted. Because you know how I'll do that, right? Like when people were having guests over, you figure out how to clean that house and put stuff in places you didn't, like you figure out how to sort everything out when you're having company. But it's like, why don't I deserve to have that kind of clutter-free, beautiful space when it's just me? So that was one thing that's just a very practical thing that shifted. I think that, what else? Again, the belief part is huge, because I think there's something, it's hard to quantify, if you will, but when the way you think about things shifts, everything shifts, because everything comes from that. So I think there was a lot of getting that and checking my beliefs and realizing the places where I'm like, ooh, yeah, I say this, but I don't actually believe that. So I've got to go to work to figure out why I don't believe that. I don't know if I answered your question. Is there anything else I didn't speak to?
No, absolutely. You're doing fantastic. You're doing fantastic. One of the things that just came up for me with this beliefs is, as you all know, so we both have this Nigerian background.
Yeah.
Comes with a hefty bag of beliefs and whatnot. How would you say that has played a part in this journey for you?
Gosh, I think there was something you said and again, sorry guys, all the conversations run together. I don't know which one's week 1, week 12, but it all works and it's all amazing. We talked about forgiveness. So we did this work on forgiveness, which was a doozy in the best way possible. And forgiveness, as a Christian, that's something I believe in. I believe, like I believe in forgiving people. I practice forgiving people. And one of the things I've realized is just that it's a non-forgive journey.
Okay.
Like you often have to forgive people more than once. But there was some comment you made, I think, in one of our pods about having to forgive. I think I don't know who brought it up first, but we talked about even forgiving parents, forgiving our old selves, and that kind of thing. And one of the things I think I realized was just that there are different levels of forgiveness for other people and even for our own selves. And there are different levels of, so I could forgive my parents for, I don't know, some mistake they made when I was in high school, right? My parents are imperfect. They're always growing and always changing. They clearly made mistakes after high school. It's like, I have to forgive them for this bad advice they gave me in college without meaning to or whatever, or forgive them for, making me afraid of raising me to be afraid of taking risks, however I interpret that. But I think there's a place where I was able to, and it's still a work in progress, but where I've been able to look at particularly my relationship with my parents and my relationship with my culture, and realize that what defined me at one point doesn't have to define me today. Realize that my parents absolutely did the best they could with what they had. Realize that even me, little old Lisa from yesterday, last week, or 10 years ago, did the best she could with what she had. And I think too, just even culture, like realizing how much of culture is created not by one person, right? Like there's the culture in the city I live in that's different than the culture of my state. That's different than the culture of my country. That's different than the culture in our households. And how even a lot of that comes from people's fears and unprocessed stuff. So I think, so I hope that's not sounding too, too theoretical, but I think being able to look at certain things even in my own character and know that, wow, I got that from growing up in a developing country that was going through what was its own kind of depression at the time that I was in high school. So that gives me some, my words are failing me today. Like I can have some, scarcity, like I can have a scarcity mentality. Like, okay, and that's from there, and that's okay. But I'm not in that situation right now. That's where that comes from. I appreciate it. I honor it. But this is where I am now. Here's how I can make a different choice. So yeah, I hope that spoke.
I love that. I love that. I think it's super important because a lot of people in my audience they have strong cultural backgrounds. A lot of them are Nigerians, and we know how sometimes culture can shackle us. So it's this work, I believe, helps you own yourself, all of who you are, even in your culture.
Right.
Being free in your culture. And I think
I think too, to your point about culture shackling us, I think sometimes it can shackle us in our fear of repeating what we grew up with or whatever. We can then actually be shackled in the opposite extreme, if that makes sense. Like you think you're free, but if I become the person who has to do the exact opposite of everything I was raised to be, that is not likely coming from a place of freedom. And I think there are some things I did like that too. It was like, this is so opposite of what I was raised. So this is me being free. And it's like, are you free though? If it has to be this extreme of whatever you were raised. So just, I think fear, I mean, you say this all the time, but fear really is insidious. It's everywhere and we don't realize it. And so often the things we even think are our freedoms, you're like, I'm not actually free in this. This is my fear, making me just do the opposite of what I was raised to do or raised to believe.
Yeah. I love that. So now, what are you able to do with more confidence, more peace of mind, forgiveness, or being able to identify fear and freedom, knowing what your voice of fear is, your voice of freedom is? What are you able to do today that you couldn't do before?
I mean, I think it sounds, again, theoretical and general, but the truth of the matter is when your belief system changes, you can literally do anything. Like you can do anything, you can do everything. I think that, again, that's the foundation. Like if you don't believe something is possible, you're not going to take any action because what's the point? Or you will take half-hearted actions or even self-sabotaging actions because you don't think it'll work. But if you believe you're worth it, you believe your result, like what you're doing will make a difference, you act differently, you act more regularly, you act more consistent. Like you do a lot of different things when the belief system has shifted. So I think honestly, the short answer is anything I want to do. Because yeah, it just opens up the world, bottom line. Like I know that sounds huge, but that really is what happens when we shift our beliefs. I think that for me, there's some, practicals I'm planning to take on, like growing my podcast. I've actually been thinking about expat roles again. Like, okay, do I want to go back abroad? And so they're, buying a home. So there are a couple of things that I have been talking about and ruminating for ages that now I'm just like, okay, what do we need to do to make this happen? Let's just go for it. Or, you know what? I was holding on to this goal because it looked good. I don't actually want to do this. So I don't care about this. I'm moving this way. But this thing I do care about. So I think there is a place where it really just opens up the possibilities. Like the possibilities really are endless because not only has the belief shifted, I also have steps. So whenever I think I'm stuck, one of the many things you talk about is that we're never alone. I can often feel like I'm alone, but it's like, no, you're never alone. Someone somewhere has done that before or done something related to it. Like we are literally all connected to everybody in this world.
Yeah.
You will get the help you need. So I think whether it's I just need to sit down and figure out the tools I need to get from point A to point B, whether it's I need to get to the bottom of my beliefs, whether it's I need people to be accountability buddies with me, I feel like I really have the tools I need to pursue any goal that I decide and set my mind to.
I love that. I love that. And it sounds like 2021 is already like like a big, shiny, just success for you, I love that. I love that. And this work, I mean, you mentioned a number of things here. This work it's not for the faint at heart at all.
It's not.
At all. She's like shaking her head no. It requires courage, it requires vulnerability, it requires self-leadership, it requires truth and honesty. I love what you said, where you're like, okay, now I'm able to look at a goal and say, okay, I've been setting this goal for years,
right?
Just because it looks good. I don't really want it. Like really being truthful and honest with ourselves, which is something that a lot of people can't do, you know? So what would you say to someone who was in your shoes?
Okay.
Join the accelerator, who feels like they want more peace of mind. They just want to be able to live more, have deeper connection, deeper relationships, be able to expand their careers, and just do what it is that they desire to do. What would you say to somebody who was in your shoes?
I feel like I'm repeating all of your quotable quotes, but I think one of the big things is really just to trust yourself, to get really in touch with yourself, your own voice, and to trust that. Because I think that so often, because even someone who wants to take, if you're thinking right now that you want to take this course and you haven't decided, there's a reason it resonates with you. There's a reason, there's something you see that makes you think, there might be something in this for me. And it's trusting that and really going for it, knowing that you are worth the investment, because so many of us would do this if it were for somebody else's success. But it's like, am I willing to take myself on to do what would make a difference in my life? I think I would say, if you keep doing the same things, you will keep having the same results. So if this is something new for you, something you've never tried, it's like, well, try that and see what shifts there, instead of doing the same old, or the things that don't scare you. I would say, honestly, life begins outside of your comfort zone, and none of us change within our comfort zone. So you've got to do something that is not natural for you, not your norm, to shift, to grow, to change. And so, this very well might be that thing for you. I would say just be compassionate and kind to yourself. Like, again, if you look at yourself, from the outside looking in, what would you say to yourself, or what would you say to your best friend or somebody you loved who was in your position and was thinking about that? What advice would you give them? Because so often we give great advice to other people, but then kind of turn it around when it's us. So there are a number of things I would say. I think the biggest part would be trust yourself, take a chance on yourself. You are worth it. Your growth is worth it. And yeah, I think check in with yourself and do what you need.
I love that. You heard it. You heard it. You heard it. You heard it. Trust yourself. And listen, thank you so much, Lisa. Guys, you do not have to do this alone. You do not have to do this alone. Yes, it takes a decision. It takes work for
Yep.
me and my clients. You know, our life today is as a result of constantly stretching our character. Like Lisa says, nothing is happening inside of your comfort zone at
Not
all.
one thing.
Everything you desire is outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, um, are you willing? Are you willing to take that chance on yourself? You know, because as Lisa already said as well, doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So if you're thinking because the calendar is going to change to 2021, something is magically going to be different. No, it isn't. Not only not if you don't change, if you
Yeah.
don't transform, nothing, you're going to get the same results as 2020.
Right.
Hopefully we do not have COVID, but those results that you're getting is still going to be the same, right?
Yep.
So listen, here's my invitation to you if you're watching this, because I would love, love, love to help you. And I'm just going to do this for a second. I'll be right back. I'd love to help you. I have 3 spots left open in a Fear to Freedom Accelerator starting next week, where I will help you reclaim and rebuild your confidence, get you motivated, move fearlessly towards your desires. You're going to get awareness into who you be. You're going to be able to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to awaken the powerful parts of yourself that you've been hiding, that you've buried for years in this 12 weeks of accountability. And you're going to be plugged into a community that calls you higher. You're going to be able to activate your inner power, call on courage on demand so you can move towards your desires. Here's what you get: complete access to my Live More Fearless method. You're going to get to reprogram your beliefs for freedom, for abundance, for success, for peace of mind. You're going to get new skills, tools to shift fear where it belongs, in the way back seat. You're going to get weekly accountability and guidance calls. And like I said, unlimited support via this powerful trust pod. If you are even thinking that this might be for me, all you got to do is just click on the link that you see below and get on my calendar. If you have an inkling that this might be for you, or you're just not sure, or you're even scared, take a different decision today. Take a different decision today. And I will respond. We'll get on a call and see if we're a fit. And that's it. Right? So listen, Lisa, thank you so much for being here, because I understand what this takes, the vulnerability, the courage it takes. So I honor your courage. I honor your vulnerability. I honor your transparency. Thank you so much. Congratulations on
Thank you.
your success in the pod. And I am so looking forward and super excited for what's to unfold for you. Like from now on, like the
Yeah.
world is your oyster. It's just, you can continue creating incredible results that you've been dreaming and praying for years.
Right.
You know, we've been able to do this. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Any parting words for our folks before we leave?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is, so if, again, even now as I'm thinking through things that I accomplished, like there was a long list of things I wrote down, and it was, I didn't get into a tenth of it here. The thing about this kind of work too is that you see the dividends elsewhere. Like it's not just this one practical thing I can say this happened. Like there's so many things that shift. Like the ripples really are endless, basically. Like it's worth the investment because there's so much that shifts that you don't even realize until you're like, whoa, why did I do that? Oh wow, yeah, something has changed. I'm no longer the same person I was when I started. So
Mm. I love that. I love that. I love to say to people, listen, the return on investment for working with me is not 12 weeks. It's not even
Right.
12 months. It's not even 12 years. It's generations.
Generations. Yes. Very.
Listen, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. You are incredible. Until next time, be fearless. I am Bissy McGregor, founder of Fear to Freedom, your fear buster. Thank you so much, Lisa. And
You're
I will see
welcome.
you guys later. Take care. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.